Today I fucked up by calling the cops on an arguing couple. Obligatory, this happened quite a few years ago, before cell phones. I was taking a walk one day, and the neighborhood I lived in at the time wasn't the best. It was mostly working class, primarily aircraft workers, but because the houses were so cheap to rent, there were also quite a few questionable residents. Anyhow, a ways ahead of me was a girl who was going in the same direction I was. She was far enough away, and my eyesight isn't all that great, and she was pretty petite, so I assumed it was a kid headed toward the elementary school about a block away. Remember thinking that I hoped she had a note for being so late to class, when a plain, white van screeched to a stop right by her. I mean, this was a stereotypical, windowless, unmarked, white van. It was a murder van. I was certain of it. The driver got out, and took the girl by her shoulders and sort of pushed her into the van. They were too far away for me to catch up and try and protect the girl, so the only thing I could think to do is to memorize the tag and the best description I could of the girl. Van takes off, and I practically ran to the elementary school. Like I said, before cell phones. I told the school secretary what I'd witnessed and she called the police. They showed up fairly quickly. I guess a kidnapped kid will light a fire under their asses. I gave them the description of the girl, the van, and the tag. They ran the plates, and the address was only about 3 to 4 blocks away. Another car was sent to the address, while the officer at the school continued to take my report. I swear, I'd never seen cops move so fast. About 10 or so minutes later, the other officer radioed in, and come to find out, the guy was the girl's boyfriend. She was an adult, they lived with her mother, and they had apparently been having an argument, which is why she was out, and why he came and fetched her. I was so embarrassed, but the secretary and the officer thought it was amusing. So everything turned out good in the end, and I decided I'd had enough reality for one day, so headed back toward home. Found the house the girl and her boyfriend lived in. I wasn't searching for it, it was just on my way, and they were all three outside. I came up to them, introduced myself, and apologized for the chaos earlier. They laughed it off, and the girl's mother said, "I'm glad you did call, because what if she really was a little kid who was kidnapped? Besides, maybe it'll teach her not to air her fights in public from now on." So, it all ended well, but holy crap did it scare me silly. Too long didn't read, called the cops because I thought I'd witnessed a kidnapping, but it was just a girl and her BF arguing. Not to FU, op, you did the right thing. Human trafficking happens because people are afraid to speak up when they see something. I'm just glad it wasn't what I thought it was. I'm proud of you for taking the situation seriously and getting help, even if it wasn't what it looked like. Better safe than sorry. Smile. The girl's mother was definitely right when she said that. I called the cops cause I heard gunshots one night while sleeping. It was such a realistic moment that I dropped to the floor and told my wife to take shelter low. The police came quickly and I went outside to tell them where it came from. Their guns were drawn and were in a tactical formation. Nothing was found and they stated it could have been fireworks by kids. Couple months later I listened to Stuff You Should Know podcast and they talked about exploding head syndrome. Apparently I hear gunshots in my head when I'm stressed. Our minds can play some evil tricks on us, can't it? I used to see these shadow figures crawling along the walls and ceiling, ever since I was 5. After the first time I told my grandmother about them, I never told anyone else, because I was afraid I'd get committed, but I was certain either I was being followed by demons, or I was losing my mind. And when I was in my 40s, I learned about sleep paralysis, and haven't had an incident since. We won't talk about the giant, black, slug that was crawling across the highway one time, or the tail end of an airplane sticking up out of the river. And in my current neighborhood, we play a game of fireworks, or gunshots, because both go off kind of frequently around here. Fight or not. Putting your hands on a GF, or any human, and forcing her into a vehicle is never okay and probably didn't turn out for the best. Agreed. I have a feeling the mom reamed both their asses over the incident, because you could see they were both pretty chagrined even through the laughter. During a lightning storm I most definitely heard an AK-47 going off on full auto. It has a very distinctive sound. Yes, the guy just wanted to rip through a clip and have the thunder cover it. Yikes. Just. Yikes. Today I fucked up by congratulating an estranged friend on his engagement. Today I fucked up by congratulating an estranged friend on his engagement. So embarrassed I can barely even type this without a full body cringe. Some backstory: 5 years ago, I, 24M, started a company and recruited a bunch of people of whom V, 29M, ended up being a huge asset and a great friend. Soon after, we hired his girlfriend S29F, who turned out to be a nightmare, fought with him constantly endlessly in working hours, was hated by everyone, dramatic and hateful. I personally believed V was a great person and deserved a much better partner. Fast forward to a year when we disbanded on a sour note after a few bad months of business and no longer friends. Yesterday, he uploaded a picture of what looked like his engagement ceremony. I figured this would be a good opportunity to get back in touch because I missed a buddy. We exchanged a couple of messages which took me back, and NGL, it felt great and like the old days immediately. In the flow of things, I said, one of the best things about this news is you're no longer with S. To which he politely replied, it's her. I checked his picture and sure enough, it was her. 20 pounds heavier and completely transformed butt. Her. So yeah, I am ready to be buried now. Too long didn't read, got in touch with an estranged friend to congratulate him on his engagement. Mentioned I was glad it wasn't the girl I remembered from years ago. It was. I am mortified for you. Oh wow, she's changed so much I didn't recognize her. Glad to hear it's all worked out. Hope you liked your last chat with that old friend. Well, I think I wouldn't cringe because of that exchange if I were you. Just feel super bad for the dude for what sounds like ruining his life. Velp. Hope those few interactions satisfy you for the next 4 years. Today I fucked up by wanting to have fun with my wife while I was in the bath. I was in the bath earlier today when my wife walked in to talk to me. She crouches by the side of the bath and asks if I want her to wash my back. I say yes please. She finishes washing my back and continues crouching by the bath and talks to me about things. She is deep in conversation, but all I can think about is splashing her with water. Here is where I fucked up. I contemplate the best way to splash her. I don't want to get her too soggy or she'll get angry, so I decide to flick water at her. Stealthily move my hand down into the water and position my fingers to flick. I wait until she looks up at the bathroom window. Obviously flicking someone with water is better if they aren't looking for some reason, and flick. My finger flicks straight into my right testicle. The pain. Wife is rolling around laughing. I'm rolling around in agony. We both regain our composure and she is still crouching beside the bath. I'm not sure if it was spite or something else that drove me to flick water at her, but I quickly decide that she needs water in her face because she laughed at my suffering. Flick! Exclamation mark. Straight into the top of my left testicle. Too long didn't read. Today I fucked up by wanting to flick water at my wife. Result, now I have sore nads. I was expecting a whole wave of water to get out of the tub, but this is way better and funnier too. Depending on how you look at it, the things she was talking to me about that I mentioned was sex. She wanted some after the kids were in bed. My gentleman's vegetables are too sore to be doing anything like that tonight, so not only did I inflict pain on myself, but I also deprived myself of some pretty good loving. This is the story of your lifetime. Your wife should never, ever, ever, let you live this one down. She won't, she's good like that. She has a one of the lads mentality when it comes to taking the piss. I'm just picturing your giant long dangly balls floating at the surface of the water. Not sure how else you manage to accidentally flick them when trying to flick the top of the water, lol. Today I fucked up circle jerk. Thank you for introducing me to that subreddit. Some very, interesting stories on there, haha.